The hunt had failed. For the second week in a row, the berry bushes were stripped bare, the roots were gone, and there were 12 mouths in the group, 12 people. Not enough food for all of them. What happened next tells you more about ancient humans than almost anything else. Not the version we romanticize. Not the brutal primitive story. The actual one. Let's find out. Here is what most people picture when they hear ancient humans faced starvation. The strongest grabbed the food. The weakest went without. Violence settled it. That version is almost entirely wrong. Anthropologists who study modern hunter-gatherer communities find the same pattern repeated across every group they observe. When food is scarce, it gets shared. Not because ancient people were saintly, because sharing was the most rational survival strategy available. Here is the mechanism. When a hunter brought down a large animal, the meat did not belong to them. Distribution was handled by someone else using established rules the whole group knew. The hunter who made the kill often received no larger share than anyone else, sometimes less. This seems backwards until you run the logic. A successful hunter cannot eat an entire animal before it spoils. But that same hunter will have days when they come back with nothing. By distributing generously today, they build a debt network across the group. When their luck runs out tomorrow, others are socially obligated to feed them. It is not generosity. It is an insurance system with teeth. Research published in PLOS One modeling hunter-gatherer food sharing found that networks simultaneously optimizing for two goals: reducing individual starvation risk and ensuring egalitarian access. The sharing was not random. It was mathematically optimal. Subscribe if you have ever shared something when you did not have to. You were running the same calculation your ancestors ran to survive. Now here is the part that is harder to sit with. Sometimes sharing was not enough. Sometimes the hunt failed for 3 weeks, not 2. The drought lasted a season. The migration did not come. And the group faced something the sharing system could not solve. In those moments, ancient humans made decisions we almost never discuss. Who ate first tells you everything. Across the archaeological and anthropological record, the answer is consistent: children. And nursing mothers were prioritized, not out of sentiment, out of cold calculation. Children represent the group's future reproductive capacity. Nursing mothers are the only nutrition source for infants who cannot survive without them. Protecting them was not kindness. It was the only rational investment in group survival. Elders came next, with a complexity that is genuinely hard to hold. In moderate scarcity, elders were protected fiercely because what they carried could not be replaced. An elder who remembered where water was found in the last drought. An elder who knew which plant detoxified in boiling water. An elder who recognized the signs of a herd 2 days before the younger hunters did. Losing that knowledge could cost the group far more than a few meals. But in extreme scarcity, the calculation shifted. Individuals who could no longer contribute to group survival would sometimes choose, or be asked, to step aside. The archaeological record carries traces of this. So do ethnographic accounts from communities whose lives resemble the Pleistocene most closely. This is not the same as abandonment. These were people who had known each other for their entire lives, who had fed each other, raised children together, survived previous catastrophes together. The elder who stepped aside was doing it for grandchildren they had helped raise, within a system of meaning that made the choice bearable in a way that our modern vocabulary does not quite reach. The honest word for it has not been invented yet. What the Pleistocene record also shows is that groups rarely let it get this far. Seasonal food shortages were expected, not exceptional. Palaeolithic groups planned for them the way we planned for winter. They stored food where the environment allowed. They built exchange relationships with neighboring bands so that regional surpluses could offset local failures. They maintained dietary flexibility, fallback foods for when primary sources failed. They moved entire camps to follow resources rather than waiting for resources to run out. The group that survived a drought was almost never the strongest group. It was the most connected one, the one with the most exchange partnerships. the most diverse accumulated knowledge, the most carefully calibrated sharing network. Professor Ron Barkai's team at Tel Aviv University found evidence of systematic food storage in animal bones, at least 420,000 years old. Hunter-gatherer communities were not reactive victims of their environment. They were active, adaptive, strategically sophisticated operators within it. And here's what all of this left in you. When resources get scarce, you automatically start tracking who is sharing. You feel something like moral violation when you see hoarding. You feel an instinct to check on the most vulnerable people around you before you check on yourself. These are not modern values. They are ancient social technology running in your nervous system without your permission. The outrage you feel when someone takes more than their share during a shortage, that is 50,000 years of group survival enforcement. The pull you feel toward fairness even when you could cheat that is the insurance system that kept your ancestors alive. The instinct to make sure children are okay before adults, that is the same cold calculation 12 people made around an empty fire somewhere in the Pleistocene. Their survival is why you are here, and their choices are still running in you, every time things get tight. Drop a comment. What is the most you have ever shared when you did not have to? Like, share, subscribe. The next time you feel outrage at someone hoarding, that feeling is 50,000 years old, and it was right then too.